Like for me, it's all about, hammering it home and making sure that, I understand, I understand that's just it's how my brain works. I'm sorry. It's hard to explain.
That's all right. We're live now on an empty YouTube channel, so I can record this. Because I
Awesome.
tried recording it the other day and it was like it ended up being too much to send to anybody. But if
Mhm.
I have a YouTube link, I'll be able to send it to you.
I do not consent.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. All right. Hey, Jason, how's it going today?
It is going fantastic. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear. Well, my name's Ryan, and I'm here because 3G believes that we can provide some solutions for you. And I want to let you know up front that I'm a salesman, and in order for me to earn your business, there's three things that I can do, or three things that I necessarily need to achieve. Right. The first thing being showing you a product that you love, something that you absolutely adore, that you want, in your home, that you're dwelling, that you're going to reside of, and you're going to have reside in, and you're going to be extremely appreciative and you're going to enjoy that, right? So that's the first
Mhm.
thing. The second thing I want to do, I want to win your trust. And when I say win, I mean earn your trust. Like, to me, trust is very important. It's paramount, and I believe that I'm a man who's honest, and I want to show you that, and I want to earn that. And the last thing is I want to make sure that it's affordable. I want to make sure that you're not having any unforeseen expenses and whatnot. So, with that being said, if I can accomplish all three of those goals today, I will ask you to hire me. And if you decide not to hire me, then I can take a no just as graciously as I can a yes. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
So better. Still work on conciseness though. I
I'm
s-
trying to find the verbiage. Yeah,
Yep,
that's
yep. But as long as you're aware of that, I won't harp on it too much. But make sure, like, because for me, it would be just, hey, to earn your business, I got to do three things. Got to show you a product that you love. I got to get win your trust, and I've got to make it affordable. If I do those things, hey, I'm going to ask you to hire me while I'm here today. If I don't do those things, hey, I want you to do the smart thing and tell me no, or however you script it.
right. And absolutely, I agree 100%. My thing is, when I verbalize it, it's also trying to act like I have a real person, a real customer in front of me, and not just be, robotic for those meetings.
Right.
So I want to show some personality. Obviously maintaining professionalism, but for me, it's extremely important to make sure that that customer can relate or it resonates with them, and they can also have some empathy.
Yep.
All
So,
right.
but that was much better. Just that biggest thing is that one question or that one statement. So if I do those things, I'm going to ask you to hire me today while I'm here. If I don't, hey, that's totally okay too. You tell me no, and I can take a no as graciously as yes. Fair enough. Basically, you're getting them to agree to give you a yes or a no at some point.
Gaining that commitment.
Exactly. So now let's go here and I will critique and then you can go through. This was actually pretty good. I mean, you could smooth it out a little bit. The story about the company was really good. What
Okay.
I'd like to see you do though is get your story hammered in there real well. And you did. You kind of had your thing. Hey, I love the way that they work. I can relate to them. It really makes sense the way they operate here. And one thing and I really want you to like somehow maybe something like one thing I really want to get across to you is that the biggest reason I like to work here is because as a salesman, I know that there's systems and processes in place that help me keep my word to you, the customer. Now, that's important for me because that's all I got. But to you as a customer, I'm sure it's really important to you that I can keep my word as well, right? So that's your commitment on this page is really the most important thing. And then if you could find a place to ask a "Are you paying attention?" question in the middle somewhere, you know, that would be okay too. It wasn't too bad where you had it actually. If you were just like, um, they knocked doors, they did everything they could to get out there and get their name out there, and obviously they did something right because 10 years or all these years later, we've got over 90 people working for us in two different states, so they had to have done something right, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. And then you go into the part about you. So, all right, go ahead and run this one back.
All right, Jason. I want to tell you a little bit about the 3G story. Right. So 3G started with three brothers, Brett, Ryan, and Jake, and they're from Michigan. They started, in the construction industry up in Michigan. They kind of reached their ceiling, and with aspirations to grow, they decided to, branch out and start their own company. And with that being said, they had no marketing budget. The odds were stacked against them. But they began simply by, going out, meeting the community, knocking on doors, handing out flyers, passing out T-shirts, just ways to get to know the community, to really make sure that that business had a good foothold. It's pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Now with that, many people kind of, you know, didn't necessarily think that they were going to be successful. They told them that starting a business this way would never work, but that adversity fueled them. They must have been doing something right. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And then over the next decade, they began to develop some of the most innovative systems in the industry, which equated to 90 new employees in locations in both Michigan and Florida. And the reason that I personally love, working here for 3G is that, as I told you before, I'm a man of my word and they empower me. And they empower me to have the systems and the processes in place to be able to know that I can make those promises happen for you. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's really important that there's systems and processes in place that you can help, make sure um, that's going on. So good, really good job there. The only thing is that I kind of didn't mention either. We can. It also helps to say, and I'll show you. And I'm sure you'll see these as we go through. But there's those systems and processes in place. But other than that, good. One thing I would do though is my question at the end again, work on this overall direct. Hey, so one thing I love about it is that I have systems and processes in place that I can keep my promises to you. Now it's important to you that I keep my promises, right? Instead of what do you think about that? Get that direct,
Okay.
uh, you know,
No, I completely understand. Instead of just kind of following with a question, leading into it, and getting them some more buy-in.
exactly. All right. Here, um, I would avoid the word slide. You probably know that, but
Did I say slide?
yeah, you said this slide here is, and then, but overall, what I would recommend is not, don't, for some reason that you did it last time too, don't like summarize the page and then do the page. Just do the page. Like you said, so these are some stats from the industry. I'm just going to go over them with you. Instead, just do it. So did you know that the home improvement industry ranks #1 with the BBB in complaints? Just ask it. No, I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Well, yeah, and in fact, half of the companies out there, which I like that you accented half. You said half, and I want you to really understand half of the companies out there won't be in business same time next year. I like that. That was good. Um, the 50-50 part or the 50% part was good. Just don't forget that final question. So, if you got a 50-50 chance company's going to be in business and a 50-50 chance that you're going to need the company, and I like that dramatic pause, that you're going to need the company, ... Pretty important to hire the right people, isn't it?
Okay.
So go ahead and run that back.
Jason, did you know that the home improvement industry ranks #1 in the Better Business Bureau for complaints?
I didn't, but I could see that being the truth. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a pretty wild stat. All right. So according to the Small Business Administration, I say again, half of all home improvement companies will fail in the first year. Over 96% are not going to be here in 5 years. Right? That's something that's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, and then 50% of all exterior home improvement projects are going to need warranty service in the first year. So it's probably pretty important who you hire.
If you
Would you
got a
agree?
50-50 chance.
I was going to get that again. I'm getting multiple commitments,
Okay,
Steve.
okay.
I'm getting a little cocky.
No, that's okay. So if you got a 50-50 chance, I love the tonality though. One thing that I know you understand is the importance of voice inflection and deflection and all of that. Like that's good. 96% of companies are going to be out of business in the first 5 years. And the reason that's so important is because the Better Business Bureau says, or you can say BBB if you stumble over Better Business Bureau too. The BBB says that 50% of all exterior home improvement projects will need some sort of warranty service in the first 1 year after completion. Keep
So if
that
you have a 50-50 chance, you'll need service and a 50-50 chance that the company will not be in business. Would you say it's pretty important who you hire?
I would. Now, if
Great.
you wanted what we talked about with your guys today, if you wanted to even have them go a step further and ask, well, why? You know, it sounds like a dumb question, but customers will answer them. And when they do, if you say, well, it's pretty important who you hire, right? Yeah. Well, why do you say that? Well, I don't want to need work and have the company be out of business. So you definitely understand the importance of a quality company, right? So now I'm closing that commitment loop so that my customer's like, yeah, definitely. And now it's harder for them later. Each time you get one of these little commitments, it's harder for them to do what your people are saying and say, oh, well, the other guy was cheaper, when they completely understand the other guy is probably going to be out of business in the first year. And if not, he's not going to make it through 5 years. And half of his jobs need service in the first year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And ultimately, I can see it through the system as you progress through. The more commitments you gain, the more you're going to allow the customer to have to, for their objections, have to go back on their word to where they will bring it back to price almost
That's
always.
and that's the whole point of it is you said it, not me theory, right? If they said it, well, who am I to argue with you? You said it. I didn't tell you it was important to hire a good company. You told me that, and you told me I was a good company. So sounds like I'm the right guy. You know, and it's hard for them to go back on any of that.
Right.
So then this page.
Yeah, I stumbled through this one.
Yeah, you had all the right information. It was just mixed up.
This
It was
page
like
is the previous one.
somehow we got off this. It was the same one. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't do the checklist yet. Okay.
Right.
So here, just less. That's really like I would touch on brick and mortar. So I'd go, obviously, you know, there's a lot of guys working on Florida right now from out of state. Would you agree?
Yes.
You probably don't want to be chasing a Wisconsin license plate around Oshkosh to get service if you need it, right?
Right.
So we have an established location. We're right here in Fort Myers, Florida. You don't have to chase us around. You're welcome to stop in anytime. In fact, if you do, they'll give you a free complimentary tour of the facility. So good to know you can find us if you need us, right?
Yes, sir.
That one's good. And then when you do these, you want to almost assume that the customer's asking them and answer them. So I don't read them as questions. I don't say, does the contractor have a brick and mortar location? Yes, we do. And then answer it. What I do is answer it because I'm assuming this is the question they have for me, right? So all of our installers are factory certified. And all you need to say about that is, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
We are fully licensed, obviously. Now, are you familiar with the difference between comp and liability at all?
No. And
Okay.
then elaborate.
And then but elaborate with questions. That's what I was gonna. So instead of saying, well, liability covers this or that. So liability covers, and you would tell them that liability covers like if I drop a ladder and it falls through your window, right? It handles property damage. Make sense? Get a little,
Yep.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay. But what do you think workers' comp covers?
I don't know.
Well, I'll start with this. Did you know your homeowner's insurance will not, there's no policy anywhere, it will not cover a worker at your home?
No, I didn't.
So if somebody were to get hurt and they didn't have workers' compensation, who do you think they'd go after for that money to correct the injury?
The homeowner.
You. That's a personal liability. It's not a homeowner's insurance or anything like that. So knowing that, would you say it's really important to make sure the company has full workers' comp insurance?
Yeah, I would, absolutely.
Absolutely. So everybody we send out is going to be insured. Make you feel a little better?
Yes.
Cool. We guarantee all of our work. Notice I'm answering, not reading, not asking. So we guarantee all of our work. We do have different options for different budgets. So, I have everything from, listen, I wouldn't want to sell it to you unless you made me, to crazy, crazy expensive. And your examples were fine, by the way. If I'm not wording it the same as yours, ex-wife or whatever, that's fine. But I would keep it concise. And then financing is available if that's something that would help you out. That's that ... just to wait long enough to see.
Talk about money, yada, yada, yada.
Yep. So let's run this one.
Run it back.
Yep.
All right, Jason. So these are some things that I want to make sure that you're aware of, and common questions that we have when we're talking to customers. We have at 3G a physical location, a brick and mortar location here in Fort Myers, so you don't have to worry about chasing us all over the state.
Hold on real quick. You wouldn't want to.
Yeah, that I noticed it as soon as it came out of my mouth.
It's the engagement piece, right? You wouldn't want to chase a license plate around Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So you want to start that with, there's a lot of people from out of state working here right now. Would you agree? Like, get me to that point and then go.
All right, Jason. So here's some of the common questions that we get, and I want to make sure that I'm very clear with you on all of this. Now, we have a lot of workers here chasing all this hurricane work and stuff like that in the state, correct?
Yeah. There's people from all over.
All right. Now, you wouldn't want to have to go chasing them down all over the state of Florida just to try to get some of the stuff remediated on your home, would you?
No, I don't want to chase anybody.
Okay, that's wonderful, because I wouldn't either. With that, here at 3G, we have a local brick and mortar location in Fort Myers. So if you wanted to come by, have a cup of coffee, and the girls or myself will even give you a complimentary tour of the facility. Does that sound, something that appeases to you?
Yeah, that's definitely better than having some guys from all over the place. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I also want you to know that we are factory certified, and I'll touch on that here in a little bit. We're also licensed. We are licensed in the entire state of Florida. I'll talk about that more as well. Do you know the difference between liability and workers' comp insurance?
Not really. I thought they were kind of the same thing.
Okay, so just a quick little snippet, right? Liability covers, any damage to your property. For example, if a ladder were to go through your window, damage your shrubs, your bushes, whatever the case may be, liability insurance will cover that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so what do you think, workers' comp insurance is?
It sounds like it probably covers the workers, right?
Correct. So in the grand scheme, workers' comp insurance and how it's kind of structured is like, for example, you have homeowners insurance, and if someone were to get injured on your home and they were not to have workers' comp insurance, who do you think is going to have to pay for or do you think they're going to come after to pay for their medical expenses?
Probably me, right?
Yeah, they're going to come after you 100%. So what's imperative or what's important to know is you want to make sure that you hire somebody with liability and workers' compensation, insurance. Is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And we guarantee our work here. So we guarantee that, right? And I'll definitely touch more on that here in a little bit. but we also have options. We have options based on your budget. Now, what that says is, we have stuff, products that we can sell that, I wouldn't necessarily sell to my ex-wife. Then we have, products on the other end of the spectrum that are going to be top dollar, top of the line, of what you could expect or what you could want. And we typically like to meet our customers anywhere to fit their needs, but for most part, it's about in the middle.
That makes
And
sense.
yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that you're satisfied and we can meet those needs.
Hmm.
And lastly, we do have financing, if that's something that you're interested in.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. All right, so good job. So much better. Um, again, not to harp on it, but just focus on the conciseness as you get better. That'll get better too. What about here?
We have the processes in place. No, we're all right. So we're going to start from the top, or are you going to critique?
Well, let me go through it. So you had the information kind of right. It's just like you were catching it as you were figuring it out. You were getting it in there. So I'll give you my version, and then that'll be the critique because it's all there. It's just a matter of placing it.
So
So
when I
where?
went,
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. When I went over it last night and then a little bit this morning, I got hung up and stuck on a lot of the flare and flash on this, and then I started wanting to elaborate, and I had to catch myself. So at the end of the day, I said, you know what? Dump everything that you thought and just try to pitch it straight off as you were reading it, covering the pertinent points.
Yeah,
Because
so there is a chance to brag here, and I'll show you where it is. But I always start say you did ask the right question. So where'd you hear about us?
Google,
Oh, awesome. Did you get a chance to check out our reviews then?
I did. I was extremely impressed.
Awesome. So that a lot of people tell us that, and obviously with the stats we just talked about, 50% of jobs needing service, 50% of companies out of business, reputation is a big part of this, isn't it?
I would agree.
Okay. So anywhere you look, we're the top rated company on Home Advisor. We've got a 4.6 now on Google. That's went up a little bit. Hundreds of reviews, over 500 reviews that we know of out there online. And anywhere you look, you're going to see kind of that same reputation. But in order to keep the reputation, there's a few things we have to do. Number one, we got to use quality materials. Do you agree?
Yes.
And by the way, you'd say that's a pretty good reputation, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would say it's pretty impeccable.
All right, great. So yeah, we got to use quality materials. Obviously, we got to have quality craftsmen building it, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then also, we've got to communicate well. We've got to have somebody to pick up the phone if you call and schedule things and that kind of stuff. Would you agree?
Yes, I would.
So to do those three things, and I don't think this is what you're looking for anyway, but just to clarify, to do those three things, I could never be the cheapest guy out there. I'm sure you understand.
I do.
Okay. And right there, most customers, almost all of them go, well, I'm not looking for the cheapest, and start selling you on how that wasn't their idea in the first place. So again, when you get to the end of this pitch, all of a sudden, now people are like, well, they can't really go, well, I just want the cheapest thing. They already went on this whole tirade about how they don't buy the cheapest thing. So it really does help capture them in their own words so that they can get what they should and not settle for what their cheap bone is pulling them towards. So go ahead and run this from the top.
All right, Jason. So here we are, 13 or 109 on a Wednesday. Okay. Jason, where did you hear about us?
I heard about you on Google, I think.
Okay, on Google. I use it all the time. It's so much easier, makes things easier. Did you get a chance to look at our reviews on there or see any of that?
Yeah, that's why I called you out. You had good ratings.
It's awesome. I'm glad that is that something that you value when you're looking for business or business to take care of your needs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, with that, so you can see right here that we have, we're top rated on Home Advisor, best of the best, winners, Home Advisor, the blah blah blah, accolade, accolade, accolade. You would say that reputation is pretty important when you're hiring someone, right?
You definitely, especially considering that 50% of companies will be out of business in the next year.
I was getting to that next. So reputation is pretty important, right?
Yep,
All right. Would you say that we have a good reputation?
absolutely.
All right. Now, with that, right? So you already knowing that 50% of companies are going to be out of business in the next year, it would probably be pretty important with who you hire, correct?
Yeah, I need a good reputation for sure.
All right. Now, with that reputation, as you may know, with that reputation, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be the lowest bidder. I'm not going to be the guy who has the cheapest prices. I mean, I'm going to be competitive, but I just want to make sure that you understand that that reputation, there comes a lot of stuff in order for me to be able to meet those needs. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right. And in order for me to do those things, I want to show you, I want to keep, you know, in order for me to keep that reputation, I like to sell based off of quality products, quality people, all right, quality craftsmen, and we have systems that we have to follow. Um, you would say that that's pretty, pretty understanding, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds like shit, Jason.
Yeah, because you're covering the same point several times. The next thing is to do those things. I could never be the cheapest. I'm sure you understand.
To do those things, I could never be the cheapest. I'm sure you
Yep.
understand.
It's really fast. There's a lot there. So once you get through, you can do it before or after. Looking at the stats we just talked about, 50% of companies being out of business, 50% needing service. It's important to hire a company with a good reputation. Would you say?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So then you go through your reputation. We've got this, we've got that, we've got this. Anywhere you look, we're going to have a good reputation. Would you agree we have a pretty good reputation?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, to keep that reputation, I got to do a couple things. I got to use quality materials, right? Yeah. I got to use quality people. Would you agree? Yeah. And we got to communicate well between now and then, right? Yeah. So to do those three things, and I don't think this is what you're looking for, but to do those three things, I could never be the cheapest company out there. I'm sure you understand. Something along those lines.
All right, let's run it back.
Yep.
Oh, I'm a perfectionist if you can't tell.
That's okay.
All right, Jason, where did you hear about us?
I heard about you from a friend down the street.
Oh, was that friend a customer of ours or?
Yeah, yeah. You guys did his roof a couple of years ago.
All right, well, I'm sure he probably ranted and raved and really liked the craftsmanship and whatnot.
Yeah,
And
he said I should definitely talk to you guys first, so that's what I did.
all right, that's wonderful to hear. I'm glad that we satisfied your neighbor's needs, and we look forward to satisfying yours as well. Um, so a lot of that would be reputation based. Would you agree?
Um, yeah, definitely.
All right. So your neighbors, more or less, what I'm getting at is your neighbor's not going to refer us if he doesn't think that we're a reputable company. Correct.
Right.
Okay. And with that 50% of businesses being out, not being around next year, you would probably say that reputation is extremely important. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you say that we have a good reputation? I mean, right here we're top rated with Home Advisor. We have a 4.6 rating on Google. We have numerous reviews
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you guys got about as good as it gets out there.
okay. Now, in order for us to keep that reputation, we have to provide three things, and those three things is a quality material. We have to follow systems, and we got to make sure that we have quality laborers or quality craftsmen who are doing the installs, fabrication, and so on and so forth. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
So knowing that that reputation, comes at a cost, I just want to make sure that you understand that we're not going to be the cheapest, bidder.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm not looking for the cheapest thing anyway. I want a good deal, but I definitely don't want to buy junk. I know what that leads to. I've hired the wrong guy before.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'd love to move to the next slide.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So I'm gonna buzz through the rest because now we'll have a recording of it, and I'll shoot you a YouTube link to it
Ugh.
so you can watch it. um. So first, let's talk about that for a minute. Any idea how many contractors out there in Florida offer roofing?
I have no idea.
Okay, so there's over 5,000 contractors in Florida at any given time that offer roofing. I have no idea what the number is right now with all the out of towners that are here, but that's a lot of companies, right?
Yes.
So the problem is the market's a lot harder to kind of figure out right now. You know where the whole get three quotes and made the decision thing came from?
I do not.
So it used to be that the yellow pages was where you would find a contractor. So back then, there'd be three people in the yellow pages that had a full page ad. So you'd have the three people out, and because they competed against each other all the time, their prices were pretty much the same, and you just picked the one you liked. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, now with 5,000 contractors, what do you think would happen if you had 5,000 people out here?
I think there would be a lot of people coming and checking out, a lot of time wasted.
And a ton of different prices from crazy low to crazy high, right?
Correct.
So let's take a look at the numbers. Right now, your cheapest guy out there is running about $4 a square foot. Okay. You have 2,000 square feet of roofing. Now, what you can't see is that I'm writing all this out for them. So obviously on the low end, this roof would be somewhere around $8,000. Now, you call the guy who advertises on TV, he's got, a whole bunch of advertising dollars out there. He's got branches in 15 different states and all kinds of overhead and advertising. And he runs about $13.36 right now. So the same 2,000 square feet from him would be 26,720. Big difference, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here's what happens all the time. Guy comes out and they call, and because of the TV advertising and everything, they call the $26,000 guy, comes out and they're like, oh my gosh, I better get another quote. Well, tomorrow just so happens in walks the $8,000 guy. 8,000 looks way better than 26, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
That's why I'm here a year later fixing a mess that somebody else made. It happens about once a week during the busy season. Obviously, you don't want to be one of those messes, right?
No, not at all.
I'm not going to be in either one of these price categories. I'll be somewhere in the middle, just based on what you choose as we go through. Fair enough?
It's fair enough.
Does that give you a little bit better view of the market?
It does. Now, actually, could you explain more?
Sure. You have anything from a guy who's selling you the job, and then he's going to be the guy coming out to do the job. He's going to be in that kind of $8,000 category. Or you can go on the other end of the spectrum, all the way up at $13 a square foot. He's going to be $26,700, give or take a dumpster. So if I had to choose between those two, which one do you think I would choose?
Oh, the cheaper for sure.
You think so? I would every single time, every day of the week, choose the $26,000 guy. You know why?
Yeah. Why?
Well, it's not because I'm rich. It's because I know what happens on the low end. I know that guy at the top. He's going to take great care of me. He's going to do everything he says. I'm just paying a lot of money for it. On the bottom, he might be on like Problem Solvers News Channel or something like that before he gets here to do my roof. Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense.
So again, I won't be on either end of that spectrum. I'll be in the middle just based on products that you choose.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the difference between warranty and guarantee?
No.
Okay. That's a major problem in the home improvement industry. Most people think they're the same. Warranty, while it can be a good thing, is the most misused word in our industry. Any idea why?
No.
So warranties come from the manufacturer that makes the materials, right? So if you look at the warranty I'm showing you here, what do you see?
See, it looks like a whole lot of, legal words.
Yeah, fine print, right? And who do you think the manufacturer hired to write the legal words?
Probably an attorney.
Would you hire an attorney to protect you or someone else?
If I'm the manufacturer, I'm hiring to protect me.
So exactly. So what happens is we call him Chuck in a truck, guy working out of the back of his pickup or whatever, comes over and he gives you that $8,000 price we just talked about, and he gives you a lifetime warranty. And so you're like, wow, this is great. Lifetime warranty, and I get it for $8,000. He's a third of what half the other people were out there. I'm doing this. And you go with it. And next year you're sitting in the living room and you're watching your favorite show or whatever you're doing, and all of a sudden a drip of water hits you right in the forehead. You're like, what was that? And you look again, and then another. And you look up and there's a brown spot on the ceiling. The roof's leaking. So now you call Chuck and you say, hey, Chuck, remember that warranty you gave me? I got a leak in the roof. Water's on my forehead. I'm going to have to get a bucket. When can you come fix it? What do you think Chuck says?
You're going to have to contact the manufacturer.
Exactly. What do you think the manufacturer tells you when you call them?
That you're going to have to contact the installer.
You're going to have to call Chuck, right? Is that what you want to spend your money on?
No, it sounds like he's not factory certified.
So we guarantee our work. Our guarantee is 12 months on the labor, and we give you the 30-year warranty. I got to fix that. We give you the 30-year warranty from the manufacturer as well. The difference is we are manufacturer certified, and we install everything according to spec. I'll get to that in just a second. But we give you the 12 months on the labor, so you call us, we're going to take care of that. We make sure we guarantee everything's done according to manufacturer spec. And also, have you heard about our 5-star experience guarantee?
No, I haven't.
So what that is we're going to do the work. We're going to finish the job, walk it with you, and then we're going to go through everything and ask you, do you feel like you had a 5-star experience? Are you willing to write us a 5-star review? If the answer is anything but yes, what do you think we do?
You guys are going to do everything to make it right.
Yep, we go back to work until you're happy enough to write us that 5 stars. Does that make sense?
It does.
So what would you rather have, our guarantee or a manufacturer's warranty?
I'd prefer the guarantee.
Absolutely. So this is how we can offer that guarantee and know that we can stand behind that the manufacturer will stand behind their warranty. Did you know no manufacturer anywhere on earth is going to back a product that isn't installed according to their spec?
I didn't.
Makes sense though, right?
Oh, it really does.
If you're going to make something, you're not going to back it if somebody installs it improperly. So only 7% of all the roofers out there are actually certified by CertainTeed as master shingle applicators. That's the first step. You've got to be certified or they're not backing anything. Does that make sense?
It does.
So all of our guys are going to take those certifications and stuff like that. The other part is we have to follow their what's called the integrity roofing system, which is CertainTeed's instructions on how to install their shingles and have them back it with that warranty. So one of the things we're going to do is follow spec, and the order that we send to your house will be ordered according to manufacturer's material specifications. The other part is you're going to notice when our guys are here, they're photographing everything on all four sides of the house. That way, if there ever was a question, we know it was installed according to spec. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So that makes a little bit more sense on how we can give you that warranty and know that the manufacturer has to stand behind it, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So would you say trusting a company is pretty important in making a decision this big, right?
Yes, I do.
So based only on the things we've talked about so far, would you say that 3G is the type of company you could trust?
Yeah, I would.
Perfect. Wouldn't want to go any further if you said no, right?
No, absolutely not.
So what do you think the number one reason is that we come back to houses that had a roof done 3 years ago and now they're having problems?
Because it wasn't done right the first time.
Well, absolutely. But more specifically, what do you think would happen if I shingled over this?
Nothing to adhere to, so it's probably going to have issues, leaks, so on and so forth.
Yeah, let me ask you this. It's definitely going to leak, but when?
Probably soon, immediately. I would assume.
That's the common misconception. And a lot of these guys from Wisconsin know that. Even guys here in Florida know that. It's going to take a year or two for those shingles to settle in and start leaking, because when they're tight, they won't leak. So the problem is, company that's not from here, you can see the problem there. But the other problem is you don't know that unless you go inspect your entire attic and know what to look for until it starts to leak. And then guess what you get? Call the manufacturer.
Yep.
You think the manufacturer thinks it's their fault that the wood wasn't fixed?
No, they're going to say the installers messed it up.
So what we're going to do is obviously fix any wood that needs to be fixed. The other thing is we're actually going to give you 5 sheets of OSB for decking in case we run into any wood. So as we need it, we'll put it in there. Now, beyond that, they're only $80 a sheet, and we will photograph all the work for you so you know exactly what we put in and where, but you'll know, more importantly, that you have a solid deck underneath your roof. And I'm sure that's important to you, right?
Yes, it is.
So the next thing is what we're going to put under there. So have you ever seen this stuff? It's called tar paper.
Yes, I've seen it.
So you know what that is?
That's something for the shingles to adhere to, or whatever's above it.
It's construction paper dipped in tar. But the reason they use it is because the tar used to melt when it would get hot and it would get sticky, and it would seep in around the nail holes and seal the nail hole up. The problem is, and the reason for that is because sometimes if a nail's in a seam, you'll get water that gets through, so the underlayment stops that from leaking in. Well, the problem with this stuff is modern roofing is a lot thicker when it comes to asphalt shingles than it used to be, because they took asbestos away. So now the shingles expand and contract a lot more than they used to. So if you've got sticky tar stuck to the bottom of the shingle and the shingle expands, what's it going to do to our tar paper?
It's just going to start pulling apart.
It's going to tear. So what they did was create synthetic underlayment. And if you look really close, this has little teeny threads in it. You're going to need them to have samples of this.
Mm-hmm.
This has little tiny threads running all through it, and it sticks to the roof. This is called PSU 30. This actually adheres to the roof deck so that nothing can get underneath it, because we get a lot of wind-driven rain, wouldn't you say?
Yes, we do.
So that's going to stick to the roof deck and keep that wind-driven rain from getting into the house. But also those little threads, when the nail comes out of the nail gun, they wrap around the nail and they keep it from leaking. So then what happens is over time, there's a lot of these ones. These are like knockoffs. And what happens is the threads are further apart and they don't actually operate. They just say, hey, this is synthetic underlayment. So what happens is the guy calls the supplier and he goes, hey, I need 30 squares of synthetic underlayment to do a roof. And the guy says, what kind do you want? What do you think he says?
You tell me.
Whatever's on sale, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to get the knockoff, or you're going to get what they use up north. And up north, especially with a lot of guys coming from up north to do roofing, up north they use synthetic underlayment, but it doesn't adhere. It's just it will lift right off the roof. So you're going to have problems with wind-driven rain, and you're going to have problems with sealing up those nails. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So this is part of that integrity roofing system. We have to use these materials in order to be backed by the manufacturer. So can you see the value in using this over, say, felt paper or a cheaper synthetic underlayment?
Oh, absolutely.
So if you forget everything else we talk about, especially here in Florida, remember this. The closer to the outdoor temperature your attic space is, the longer your roof's going to last. Any idea why?
No.
So in your attic, if it's 90 degrees outside, and usually I draw a little picture of an attic here.
Okay.
Like this, real simple. But if it's 90 degrees outside, how hot do you think it is inside your attic if you don't have any vents?
100.
It's probably about 150.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, those shingles are just absorbing heat, and it's just going into the attic, and there's nowhere for it to escape. So what happens is at night, it cools off to 70 degrees, and two things happen. First, that attic with nowhere for that heat to escape remains 130 to 140 degrees. So you end up having a very different temperature below the shingle than you do above the shingle. And it causes it to curl like our picture that you see here. Now, what's this on the bottom of the roof deck there inside the attic? What's all that black stuff, you think?
It's like mold.
It is. How do you think that happens?
Moisture.
Yeah, when you got hot, and you got it. Imagine a cold glass of water in a warm room, so to speak. What's going to happen?
It's going to become the room temperature over time.
Yeah, it's going to condensate too. It's going outside of the glass is going to sweat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same thing's going to happen on the inside of your roof deck if you have a drastic difference above and below, especially in Florida where it's really humid. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So what do you think happens in a warm, dark place when water stays there for too long?
You have mold.
Exactly. So we've got to make sure we ventilate the attic properly. So these are some of the methods that we have to do that. Your house has stucco board overhangs like we see on the top right here. So we're going to add vents there because a lot of guys will just add a ridge vent like you have at the top here on the bottom left.
Mm-hmm.
And that vent's at the top of the roof where the peak is, and hot air is escaping. I use my drawing to show them that. But hot air is escaping. But if you put your finger on the bottom of a straw, what's going to happen?
It's just going to hold it in.
Yeah, nothing's going to come out the top. So while all these guys are talking about I put a ridge vent on, I put cam vents on, whatever, if you don't allow for a place for cool air to come in at the bottom, it's not going to do anything. So we're going to put a full ventilation system in to make sure that you've got air coming in at the bottom and rising out at the top to keep that attic spaces as close to the outdoor temperature as possible. Does that all make sense?
Yes, sir.
And you see the value in doing the little bit of extra work there, don't you?
I do.
Cool. So let's talk about shingles. You think they're all made the same?
No.
I wouldn't ask you if they were, right?
Right.
So here's the thing. There's two things that make shingles quality or not quality. Number one is going to be the asphalt. When you make cheap shingles, they add like sawdust or other filler to the asphalt to make it cheaper to produce. But the more asphalt you have, the better the shingles are going to hold up to the weather. The other thing is the granules. So you know the little stones on top of the shingles?
Mm-hmm.
Cheap shingles use crushed stone. So they just crush up rocks and then they color them and then they press them into the shingle. But one thing about stone is it doesn't lose its heat very quickly. So on a hot Florida afternoon, you ever seen the storms we get where the you can actually see them coming down the street, right?
Right.
Those are usually on a cold front. And a cold front means colder rain than the air that's the shingles are sitting in, right? So those shingles are fully expanded. The air hits them, shrinks them quickly, but the stones don't cool off as quickly. And they spit out, and you end up with streaks all over the roof like you see here. So what quality shingles have is ceramic granules. They're made by 3M, and those granules actually dissipate the heat, just like a ceramic brake pad would, dissipate the heat much faster. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So the other thing that our granules are going to have is an algae stopper, which is copper, inside or on top of the granule, and that eliminates streaking as well because the algae builds up around the granules and then they pop out and they discolor. So you've ever seen a new roof with a lot of streaking already, it's because they don't have the ceramic granules up there. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Can you see the value in using the proper amount of asphalt so it doesn't end up like this picture, and making sure that we're using the right granules up there?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So we use CertainTeed Landmark Pro shingles. The Landmark Pro's got the ceramic granules, the Streak Fighter, which is the copper. It's also a tougher laminate nailing line. So all your shingles have a spot where they're the thickest, right in the center where the two pieces laminate together. And CertainTeed has 1.25 inches, whereas everybody else has about 1/2 inch. So in the morning, that's not a big deal, but roofing's a pretty tough job. Would you agree?
Yes, very hot.
By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're holding a nail gun. Your arm feels like it weighs about 500 pounds, and you're trying to put that in a little 1/4 to 1/2 inch line. You can see where the nails don't end up where they belong, right?
And yes.
Well, if those nails don't end up where they belong, that's when you get shingles to blow off. So CertainTeed provides a much bigger nailing strip so those guys can get those nails where they belong. And then it's also got the highest wind rating in the asphalt shingle industry. Make sense?
Yeah, it's good to know.
You feel like a CertainTeed Landmark Pro would meet your needs and get the roof where it needs to be?
I definitely do.
Excellent. So we offer 3 packages. The first one is the one I said I wouldn't sell to my ex-wife. I'll sell it to you if you absolutely pound your hand on the table, but that's about as much as I got to say about that. The middle one is our SureStorm roofing system. It's got the 12-month labor guarantee, Integrity Roofing System approved, manufacturer's lifetime warranty, CertainTeed Landmark Pro shingles, CertainTeed products from top to bottom. Because one other thing about that warranty is they won't back it if you don't use their products. Like imagine having a Dodge truck with a Chevy engine and then trying to get somebody to warranty it.
Good luck.
Right? So you've got to have all CertainTeed products. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to use, we don't need baffles. I'll take that out. 6 feet. Oh, I need to correct this menu page. I'll do that now or when we get off the phone, but then you're going to get everything we just talked about, your 5 sheets of wood, and then we do have the SureStorm Plus roofing system. That's going to be everything's the same, but you get an SBS shingle, which is a rubberized shingle, which is going to give you longer life under the heat and wind in Florida. Other than that, everything else is the same. Make sense?
It does.
Okay, so I'm getting down to where I'm about to start making, putting some numbers together for you. Before I do that, I want to make sure I gave you enough information to make an informed decision. Do you feel like our products would meet your needs?
I do.
You think I would be a good point man? I have enough knowledge to handle the project for you?
Yes, sir. More than enough.
What about the guarantee? Is that 5-star experience guarantee good enough?
Yes, sir. It is.
And as far as the company itself, you think 3G, we would do a good job for you?
I do.
All right. So it sounds like the only thing left to figure out is whether or not we can make this affordable. Is that a fair statement?
I think it's fair. Yes.
All right, cool. Let me go to work on that right now. So, not really sure why it's not. All right, so that's your roofing pitch the rest of the way through. So up until the trust page, all the pitches are pretty much the same. The price conditioning numbers might be a little different. There might be a few different pictures, but the microscripts are all pretty much the same until you get to the product part of the pitch.
Okay.
So I know there's a ton there, but that gives you something to watch and go over. I'll send you a link as soon as it finishes uploading.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to watch it and